just coming in, sort of fresh, hot off the presses, and I'm looking at it sort of out of the corner of my eye as I speak with you. Breaking right now, an advisor to Pete Hegseth is being pushed out at the Pentagon. Pete Hegseth, head of the Department of Defense, one of his advisors is believed to have been leaking possibly to the press, and he was just escorted out of the Department of Defense. The story is being reported by Reuters. Reuters first to the story. The gentleman's name that was being is being escorted out there at Department of Defense worked for Hegseth, and his name is Dan Caldwell. He we don't know too much about him other than, let me just show you this breaking right now. This headline exclusive: top Hegseth advisor Dan Caldwell put on leave in Pentagon leak probe. So that's an issue. Here's his picture right now that you can see. This is the gentleman. He is allegedly somehow tied up in this leaking issue that they had going on. Don't forget, they began an investigation into the Pentagon and into potential leaks. Why? Because of that Signalgate issue. And according to USA Today, this is just coming out now, this particular gentleman, if you look down this list, here's a list of all the people that were on the Signalgate chat, and we just found this for you, and you can see that Dan Caldwell was on that list. So naturally, they were going back and they were investigating who might have leaked something to the press. We don't know, or who might have had a hand getting some of that information in there. We don't really know. I think that's still up for grabs. Remember Mike Waltz saying that he and his team had created that list of people that were on there, again, going back to this list. And so I think they were reviewing everybody that was on that list, and they were trying to make sure things were airtight. And somehow this guy is caught up in something. We're not entirely sure at this point yet what, but he is being escorted out of the building. Now, before everybody goes bonkers and says, oh, that's not fair, why are you getting rid of the alleged spy, he doesn't deserve that, etc. I'm going to remind you that this White House needs to batten down the hatches, okay? Because we can't have a repeat of what went on for 4 years. And so they've got to find the leakers. They've got to find the people that are problems, so to speak. They've got to find the people that are not on board. It's one thing to have an internal dispute. Like if I were working at Treasury, I would have said, let's put Peter Navarro aside. Let's put Scott Bessent center stage. Let's make sure that we do this in a way that doesn't cause total chaos in the markets and cause a 10-year yield to go through the roof, okay? So that's an internal policy debate. It's something else if you're out there calling the press and then saying, I don't like this one, that one, and the other. That's a whole other thing. And I think that's what is feared right now, because they went through tons of that. They had all the Obama loyalists, right, that they got hit with in 2016. So they need to make sure that they don't have that all over again. It's why, if you think about it, why they got rid of that Susan Myers up in Greenland. Remember the Space Force commander? That was just last week, who said right out there in an email that she did not agree at all with the policy that the administration was putting forward. Well, if you don't agree with the policy, then guess what? You probably shouldn't have the job. So they relieved her of her duties. It comes as we learn that the head of the NSA got kicked out. He was also the guy in charge of Cyber Command. So it's all a result of the Signalgate thing. They're very worried. There's a certain level of, I'm just going to call it healthy paranoia there, because given what this team went through for 4 years last time around, I think they want to make sure that everybody is on the up and up. Laura Loomer, she was on this from the beginning. She's been saying, okay, we're going to vet people. She's been tagged and blamed for the NSA chief being out. I don't know as you can entirely buy that. I think that this is just frankly common sense on behalf of the president, who's saying, I need to make sure that I have my people in there. And this particular NSA director, I know that they say the military personnel are not partisan in any way, but keep in mind that Timothy Hall was a Milley guy and had been put there, championed by Milley and by Biden. And so I can see Donald Trump saying, I need to make sure that I have my own people around me. You can see Pete Hegseth saying, I need to make sure that I have my own people around me. And if anybody here is responsible for leaks to the press, then guess what? We're going to have to clean house. So this was Laura Loomer not too long ago, actually, on another podcast, speaking about the importance of vetting. Let's just listen in.
I just think that there needs to be more appreciation demonstrated to Trump loyalists because unfortunately, we do see a lot of gatekeeping in the GOP. And the thing that I harped on the most during the campaign season was, the importance of vetting. We need to vet people so that we don't have the same nightmare that we saw happen in the first administration, where people who are disloyal to President Trump curry favor once the election's over after, shit talking him the entire election season. And then they just get to go, oh, you know what? I'm going to sneak in and I'm going to reap all the benefits and the glory and the praise of getting a White House job.
Sure.
I thought that we were keeping a binder full of receipts. I don't know if some of the people on the campaign meant it when they said they were keeping the receipts, but I meant it.
Yeah.
I literally have a binder of receipts and I know who's loyal and I know who is disloyal.
So she's not wrong, right? And I say this with think about it like a business. If you're the CEO of a company, you want to make sure that you have your people, your peeps on your teams. Do you really want people conspiring against you or leaking this, that, and the other? You don't, and you can't have that. And so part of his job as president is to go in and to figure out where the problems are and to root that out. Now, I'm not saying, again, that there can't be room for dissent. We need dissent. That's important. You don't want a bunch of yes people around you all the time. He's willing to listen to other opinions. Heck, didn't Maher just go there? Bill Maher had dinner at the White House the other night and came away sort of pleasantly surprised. Donald Trump's definitely willing to hear everyone out. But if you're doing something that actually is problematic to the point where you're leaking, et cetera, and that's what we don't know here. He's just been put on leave, and that information coming to us first from Reuters. Also, I should point out that it's being reported in Newsweek as well. So the Newsweek reporter, this is how we have the picture actually of the gentleman. I believe Newsweek had that. It's kind of a big deal. This is important right now. It's why, for example, they got rid of even the FBI head. Remember in New York, James Dennehy? Because he was telling people, no, the administration wants you to dig in and give names of the people that were investigating him at the FBI. I don't want you to do that. And I think that there was some sense that, we need our own team here. We need our own team, the same as we'd have for a CEO. So this is a big deal. Again, just breaking right now. The advisor to Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon, Dan Caldwell, he is being put on leave as they investigate his role in all of this. Do we now know who had a hand in the Signalgate thing? I don't know as we do. I still go back to the phone itself. Remember when Mike Waltz said he has no idea how that reporter from the Atlantic ever got in his phone because he had never met him, Jeffrey Goldberg. He had never known him. He had never had a conversation with him. And so you wonder, can somebody get into the phone itself, do something, and then add that person to the chat? I don't know the answer to that, but I'll tell you who should have known the answer to that. The head of the NSA. For sure. So this is a big investigation, and I don't think we've seen the end of it, shall we say, just yet.